Welcome to the November 9th, 2021 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. Did you enjoy the classic hits with Old Man Stompy?
I don't remember recording
and
anything
Pyro
last
Jack
week.
Frost. I hope everybody enjoyed some classic hits, some deep cuts, as it were.
Yes.
But I am your host, vysethebold, and this is
Lotus Prince.
And I am back from my honeymoon,
Yeah,
which was kind of a disaster, but then wasn't. So, what were you about to say?
Well, I was going to say there's an incredible coincidence with some good news regarding this lost week for Corrective Consciousness.
Oh, really?
Do you know what it is?
No.
So, over the past week when we were not around to record, nothing happened. Nothing at all.
It was
timing.
Yeah, it was just a black hole of content. So, but yeah, I for those of you in the know, I was on my way to Paris, and American Airlines had their basically their national like strike happening because of like anti-vax stuff going on. So. We had our flight delayed so badly that it wasn't worth us going to Paris and paying for, like, you know, everything we signed up for.
Yeah.
We were going to miss, like, several of our events, and we also... It wasn't right what they... You know, we would have arrived on Wednesday, and we were supposed to arrive on Monday.
That is absurd.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous. So we pivoted very quickly to a New England road trip, which was quite awesome, actually. So kudos to my wife, who was a big trooper. She was very upset at first.
Well, I mean, yeah, no kidding.
But pivoted on a dime and came up with a honeymoon out of nowhere.
What if we didn't deal with any of these fucking airports at all?
Yeah, exactly. We took everything into our own hands, and we had a wonderful time. So I'm really glad for that. Also, Lotus, how was the food at the wedding? Was it good?
Oh, Jesus Christ, in front of everybody? Wow, dude, alright.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah. No, it was really good, though.
We tried to get you to dance, but you were not having it.
I haven't had it since, like, middle or high school when it was literally mandatory for a grade.
Oh, wow. Well, you danced a little bit back in grad school. I remember.
Oh, yeah, for like 1 second. Now that you mention it, yeah, for like 1 second.
I was there.
Yeah,
it happened, folks.
Okay, alright. It's still been like a decade and a half.
Well, at least was it a fun time? You were at a pretty cool table. You were at a pretty cool table with HG101's Kurt Collada and his
That's
wife.
True. That was my primary request. And imagine that.
Can I be sat with somebody I think is cooler than Vice?
Yeah. I forgot to bring my books for him to autograph, so basically the wedding was a waste for me. I was a groomsman for one reason, and then my own human error screwed it up.
But yeah, we had a really good group there. They were playing some really good music during that, so I was very happy.
The Love Boat theme.
Awesome.
No, they were not. They were not.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, it was a good time. But we have to keep up on the news.
Oh, yeah.
Lotus. So, this one you revealed to me. If you want to go ahead and explain it, I could go in a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, I'll probably leave this one to you. But to put it very briefly, cryptocurrency, which is not inherently a scam, but basically is now going to actually be regulated to the point where I think it's if you're a business owner. I think that might be it.
No.
It's not that, but in any case, people have to report if they make like $10,000 or something to the IRS.
The law says is basically for cryptocurrency to be treated like cash is currently.
Okay.
So if you go to the bank right now and you try to deposit $10,000 worth of cash or more, it will trigger what's called it basically triggers a questionnaire, like, hey, who's presenting this? Who owns this money? Where did it come from?
I've seen that,
like,
kind of thing even in businesses, where it's like, I want to buy, like, I forgot what the threshold was. Back when I used to work retail at Lowe's, I think it was $500. If somebody wants to buy $500 worth of, like, gift cards, just
gift cards
call your manager
are a
over
thing.
real quick.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fine, okay. Yeah.
Well, gift cards were a big part of, and probably still are a big problem with drug trafficking and money laundering.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially just use some person's credit card, turn it into gift cards, and now it's just a new card that you can't really trace to anybody because it's a gift card. Yeah.
Exactly. So, all cryptocurrency is required to do now is follow the same laws as cash, which shouldn't be a problem if you're not.
I was gonna mention, if you have a problem with that, you might want to step back for 1 second and think why you have a problem with that.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's being treated the same as cash is under the Patriot Act. This has been a long time, law, ever since the Patriot Act. So,
by the way, regarding what I said a second ago, I don't want to sound like, oh, if you don't have anything to hide, then you shouldn't be worried about people watching. Like, I don't want to sound like scummy like that. But what I'm saying
not like
is
that.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is that crypto, and this is getting tangential, but NFTs have just demonstrably been used for repeated scams. So let's crack down on this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want you to have to be monitored either, but we also have to clamp down on bullshit.
And this isn't even monitoring the people; it's monitoring the cash, the latter of which has the potential to be extremely shady.
Yeah,
it's not government made; it's not government backed. It might be government backed soon.
It's not government backed at all. I mean, it is. Bitcoin was founded by somebody we don't know, using a system that nobody knows how it works. It's honestly, like, if you described it to somebody and it was like something brand new, people would be like, "Oh, it sounds like a scam."
That's the thing. Do you remember that one episode of Scrubs where the janitor tried pushing his own currency? Yeah. But he stated it with confidence. He's like, "Oh yeah, one of these is worth about $1.37," and it's like, well, okay, and it just became real. Like, that's what this is.
Now, I understand that there are a lot of strong feelings about cryptocurrency, to the point where people who really like it seem like they're in a cult, but they really believe in it.
I had somebody try pitching it to me via PM once. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, look, if you like something that much, it's immediately suspect to me.
Yeah, when you like crypto more than I like video games.
Exactly. And I'm like, I like video games, but Jesus. Yeah. With some people. But anyway. It's just gotta follow some laws, so it's not rife for abuse, people. In fact, it's good for it, so, it can thrive, and isn't marred by, this taint of criminal activity. Yeah. But anyway, next is this is actually really big news.
Yes.
Devolver Digital had a whole bunch of stuff happen, some really cool stuff. So they officially acquired 3 of their biggest teams that work for them or work with them. So Crow Team is their 3D game, AAA kind of developer. They're the ones who make the Serious Sam games. That's a really big deal, actually. And they also make the
Talos Principle.
Right? The Talos Principle, which is,
because I remember
they
that
should just make that.
I was gonna say, I've never touched Serious Sam, but then I saw that Talos Principle had all these Serious Sam Easter eggs. Like, why is that? Oh, it's the devs.
Yeah, no, that's a really smart game. I really like that game. Dodge Roll, who makes Enter and Exit the Gungeon, and those games are fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't touched Exit, but man, I beat the crap out of Enter. What a great game!
Enter the Dungeon is one of my favorite games of all time. I really love it.
I think I prefer Enter the Gun Dungeon.
And they made that as well, actually.
Yeah, they
believe
made
it or not.
a jank version of their own game.
Yeah. And Firefly Studio, who makes the Stronghold games. So this is really cool. I mean, potentially. I mean, Dodge Roll has not revealed the next game that they are working on. People are kind of, hoping for another Enter the Gungeon.
I think it's going to be called Stand on the Threshold of the Gungeon.
But I think what they possibly could do is kind of... like they could probably do something like more 3D related as time goes on, because now they'll have more resources. Whether you want that or not, that's a different story. But they could probably work on something higher budget. But Enter the Gungeon was like a perfect game. I really loved it.
Yeah, it was spectacular, and it wasn't marred by some of the updates that felt actively malicious against the users.
No, the updates were awesome.
Because, like, The Binding of Isaac, you know how much I love that game, but Afterbirth Plus was just malicious.
Yeah,
Repentance I like quite a bit, but Afterbirth Plus, oof.
And Enter the Gungeon just tended to add, like, stuff you wanted, rather than, like, stuff that,
like, now do it again, but harder.
You. Yeah. It wasn't extra challenges. It was, like...
There's more cool stuff.
Like, yeah, it's just like, hey, we added synthesized weapons, weapons with that combined.
Oh yeah, just like the duct tape power up. That was kind of funny.
That was fun.
It's just so stupid. You just stick a gun to another gun, and now it's two guns.
I love it. So anyway, Devolver Digital then went public, which was really interesting, and then immediately received a 10% investment from Sony. So they are a publicly traded company, and I kind of figured that was going to happen sooner or later, because Devolver Digital is just a lot bigger than it ever used to be. And I just hope that their spirit doesn't go away. Their independent spirit. I was going to mention
that. Yeah, anytime anything goes public, it's awesome because you get a piece, but that's also when they stop being completely self-contained. Yeah, and start... sucking up to investors who don't know anything and only understand when numbers are bigger than they used to be.
Yeah,
and that's what sucks the soul right out of it. That's what gets major companies to start putting like pay to win and gotcha shit in their games, which like when they weren't originally intended for that, and they mar the quality of the games. But we'll talk about that a little later.
Well, Devolver, what's been cool about them is they just release stuff that they like. So they
even like, I don't know if this is the right word for it, but license stuff that they like. Like I'm thinking, like Metal Wolf Chaos. That is a From Software game. That's not a Devolver Digital game, but they're the ones who, like, published it, I suppose, in the U.S.
Yeah. It's one of those deals like, hey, we have some money. What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's get weird.
I like
cool
this game
shit.
from the Xbox. I like this game from the original Xbox.
I like this FromSoft game that everybody would like now, but never knew about because it's like 15 years old and only on Xbox and only in Japan. Let's get that over here.
Yeah.
Devolver
and make it run
Digital
better than
pulls like an X seed out of nowhere.
Exactly. They're a really awesome company. I really love their they come out with games to market their games.
Hotline Milwaukee.
Yeah. They not only did they do like the bootleg thing, but they also did like that first person shooter that advertised their games, which was really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
And I also like their E3 skits. Like at this point, I don't care about E3. I haven't watched it in years for the most part because it's just like trailer that I'll see in 5 seconds on YouTube anyway. But man, that Devolver stuff is so much fun. They have a plot. Yeah,
and almost all their games are like really a lot of fun, and some of them are even really artsy. Like
what's funny though is even though they put out stuff from all sorts of different publishers, they still kind of have a theme.
Yeah.
Even though like one game is not the same as another, it's like
It's like Minute and Downwell look like they're by the same people, but they're not.
But I'm just thinking like, whoa, it's crazy. Like Metal Wolf Chaos and My Friend Pedro. Like it makes me think of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. I know that there's somebody generally overseeing the entire thing, but it's different directors for different movies. They each have their own vibe, but you could kind of tell, yeah, it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah. No, they all have a vibe, which is really awesome. They just curate their stuff like really really well. So it's really impressive. So I just hope that doesn't go away because I love that about them. Moving on, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is apparently really really good. It's
not
been
surprising.
getting. Yeah, but like 4 got really good reviews, but like in the end is like it's one of the hardest games to get going in. I don't know if you ever played 4.
It's also a 3DS title, and there's also 2 of them.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you ever played 4, but like
I've never touched anything Shin Megami Tensei or Persona.
Okay, well, I played 4 and I just didn't like it because it was just so hard at the beginning of the game.
But isn't that just Shin Megami Tensei? Like, not necessarily Persona, but Shin Megami Tensei. Like, isn't, like, I heard Nocturne you could still get it for $20 sealed right now, but like, isn't that like one of the hardest games, like, across the board? Like, the game's apparently brutal.
It is a brutal game, but like rarely is a game so punishing at the beginning of the game that it almost like kills its entire audience. Like right up front. Like the game gets progressively easier past the intro dungeon. The intro dungeon is like one of the hardest parts of the game, which is ridiculous. It shouldn't be like that. This game got amazing reviews and. There was a shipping delay with Amazon, I believe. So people are kind of like itching in their seats about it right now. But I think it was basically just a week. But people are just kind of like, give me my game. But
yeah, I mean, you are aware of the like various supply chain problems due to
exactly.
Maybe you haven't heard about it, but there's been a little issue relatively recently.
a little global issue.
A little global, not recent at all issue. Yes.
And you put up a another story here.
Yeah, there's 2 things regarding Square-Enix. One of them negative, the other negative with a spin. So Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker is coming out, and I think it was supposed to be out, if not now, then extremely soon. Like, it was just coming out, but there had to be a delay for it. But like, regarding the delay video, I mean, some people are whining about it because whiner's gonna whine, but like Yoshida, the person who like made FF14 what it is, like the person who's like busted his ass with his team and like basically
remade an entire game.
Yeah, everything that's good about FF14 is like this guy's team's work. So like, he went on, I don't know if it was live stream or if it was a published video or what, but basically he went on camera himself and was apologizing for the delay, but he was like in tears over it and super apologetic. And like, I don't know about elsewhere on the internet, but like every single Twitter post I saw was like, dude, like, it's okay, man, take all the time you need, Jesus Christ, we're sorry. And it was like accidentally heartwarming. It's like, it sucks the game's delayed, but like this guy's so clearly still passionate about it and invested. It's like, all right, man, fine, like, all right, we'll wait. Jesus. So like, that was like again, like, accidentally pleasant to see people kind of coming together in support of the people who made this game that they love, that has not only been wildly successful, but we mentioned this in a previous reactive, but has, I think it's been fixed now, but has run out of room for people to sign up to play, which is just unheard of.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, this is not recent, this is a couple weeks old, but the creator of Final Fantasy, like OG Final Fantasy, has recently signed up for FF14 and has been just like binging the shit out of it. He's just been playing the hell out of it, and he's like, this is great. So like, that's super flattering. He's just totally caught up in it. It's amazing.
That's amazing.
And then this is not a Final Fantasy XIV specific story. This is a Square-Enix, or Square-Enix, depending what game you turn on, how they say it, story. This one is less pleasant. There have been...
this was real shitty. It made me like, what the hell is wrong with them?
It's kind of gross. But there have been complaints about the that Marvel Avengers game they were making. It just kind of didn't look very good, and it's been getting, like, pay-to-win mechanics and stuff like that. But, like, people have not been liking the game, and that's been made clear for quite a while. But now, Square-Enix, I think the president of the company, like, publicly declared, like, yeah, like, we realize now that we, like, with Crystal Dynamics, the people who actually made the game, we made a bad choice regarding the company. But,
not that we didn't give them enough resources or it didn't turn out the way we wanted.
Well, no, it's not that. Like, it's that Crystal Dynamics doesn't make games like this. And they were like, make it weird gotcha shit, and they're like, I mean, okay, and and they did a bad job at something they didn't do. But even if the article were 100% true, like we made a shitty choice choosing a company, even if that were actually absolutely true, you don't do that. That's really shitty. Just form. That's just very poor taste.
Through their own it'd be like saying your brother was a terrible brother in front of somebody.
If he were totally terrible, like, yeah, my brother's pretty shitty. Like, what the hell, man?
Like, right in front of him.
Yeah. Although, but again, in this case, this was not 100% Crystal Dynamics' fault anyway. So it's just an extra layer of bad. Like, that's very poor taste.
I always got the impression that, like, Square didn't really treat their Western devs very like with very much respect.
They dedicate all their time to FF14 and whatever new FF project there is, and that's about all you like. And even then, I mean literally new FF. Like, even the pixel remasters, like, they're doing something with it, but, like, you know how long it took for them to fix up their old Super Nintendo Steam games? Everything's going to FF15 at the time, and FF14 then and now, and I guess now it's FF7
and they take so
remake.
fucking long to put out anything of any substance. Like, Ugh. It's such a weird company. I don't understand how that place works. It doesn't they waste so much money on nonsense, and then, like, the stuff that they could make quicker money on, and, like, you know, and make it easy.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger Steam is like a shoe-in. Like, I mean, I know the game has a long time ago been fixed, but, like, it came out in such a state, people are like, are you kidding me with this?
Yeah, exactly. Like you could easily do what people want.
Yeah, like, Final Fantasy VI was, like, the freest money. That and Chrono Trigger. Like, now they're doing the pixel remaster, so that's another story. But even then, like, we didn't even want necessarily pixel remasters. We just wanted you to put your shit on Steam so we could play them.
Well, what people want is definitive versions of the games, which they still haven't done.
By the way, with FF6, that's incredible. And with Chrono Trigger, I think it's missing, like, one animation or something. It's basically been done. If you really, like, there's a monster gallery on DS that they don't have on Steam, but
Chrono Trigger's Steam version is excellent.
It's basically basically Steam at this point. It's not 100% definitive, but it's the best. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of gameplay, it is. I mean, basically, so. But, like, Final Fantasy IV's definitive edition is locked away on the PSP. Like,
oh yeah, okay.
There's not one for 5 or 6.
Yes, I don't even know what's going on with differences in 5, but 6, I know the GBA version had more content that the
that's just not. It.
5 had the same thing.
Yeah, the GBA versions of, like, almost all the like all the Final Fantasies that got Game Boy Advance versions added content, basically. Okay. 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 all had content added to them that were significant.
Nothing for actual FF3?
FF3 was not on the Game Boy Advance.
That's right. It was a 1-2 pack.
It was on the DS.
Okay.
Yeah. It was on the DS when they remade that.
Okay.
3 is not one of the 2 and 3 are the least popular.
I was just gonna
Final
say,
Fantasy
like,
games.
I don't know anything about 3, but
Yeah.
like 2 is the real title that just nobody has anything whatsoever to say about.
You can do whatever you want to that game. I'm still not gonna play it. But yeah, it's a Kawazu-esque Kawazu game from the NES era. So it's a saga game, but even harder and less forgiving.
Which is an incredible thing to say, considering that some games called Final Fantasy in the U.S. literally are saga games.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a saga game in anything but name. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's move on here. Square Enix just isn't with it. So the expansion pass plus is out for Nintendo Switch. People are complaining about N64 emulation. From what I've seen, it looks pretty darn accurate. The reason why everybody's complaining is they're used to N64 emulation that has been all fixed up. The frame rate and draw distance of the N64 was god awful, and it's actually more accurate for it to still stay god awful.
Which is kind of funny, yeah.
Which is funny, but
it's like Nintendo Dolphin is like the definitive way to play GameCube games, and then you play an actual GameCube, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. So it's fine. They work fine. You're just complaining. You're used to the enhanced versions of these games, which you've been getting all along. I don't know why they didn't release the enhanced versions. That's really stupid. Like, you already have this done. Just port it or whatever.
I just don't want them to release a zero draw distance game, or sorry, like a zero fog game for draw distance, because then you'll suck out the atmosphere, like in the Silent Hill 2 and 3
Exactly.
Remasters.
There are very few games that do fog on purpose, and you named the one of them.
Can you imagine if they fixed up like Superman 64 and they have to rewrite the instruction manual? There's no more kryptonite fog, everybody. Luther went easy on him this time.
Jesus. But but everybody is praising the Sega Genesis emulation, however. So
speaking of Genesis, by the way, I know you're going to talk about the actual emulation in a second, but they've also released on for the My Nintendo Store or whatever, N64 and Genesis Switch compatible controllers.
Yeah.
But people had remarked it's just a surreal image in your head seeing a 3-button Genesis controller with Nintendo branding on the packaging. Like, that is crazy.
It is funny, isn't it?
What is this? Is this even real?
I think the Genesis one is the first non-Nintendo release of those controllers. Yeah, it is. That is kind of funny. I didn't even think about that.
It's a Nintendo, but it looks like your old Sega Genesis controller, but it says Nintendo. It's in red packaging with Nintendo logo. No, somebody's pranking me. They gotta be.
Send this back 30 years to your young self.
Yeah, I saw a post on Twitter about that. It's like the timeline is split. Look what's happened. It's like, what if the Nintendo PlayStation actually happened? This is as close as we're gonna get to that.
Well, speaking of, Super Mario 3D All-Stars did get a pretty quiet but much-needed update in regards to that. Nintendo very wisely added the N64 controller support to Mario 64. So.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's on one hand, there are better controllers out there, but on the other hand, you've been playing it for decades with the N64 controller. There you go.
Yeah, it's for authentic feel, and why not?
It's how they gave GameCube controller support to Smash on both Wii and Switch. I'll definitely use that over the Wiimote awkwardness and the shitty tiny Joy-Cons. If you use a Switch Pro controller, it's a different story, but Yeah.
Well, there's also the Mario Sunshine update when they added the GameCube controller to the support to that.
That's
so,
a very big deal considering we mentioned this when the game launched.
It's a very idiosyncratic game.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it uses like pressure sensitive triggers. So you spray the water at a lower or higher pressure. There's analog tilt, like for Mario 64 and for Sunshine, where you walk versus run. Like, you should have that stuff. And it's literally incredible to me that they didn't. With decades worth of advancements in technology, they just didn't have that.
Yeah. So this is really, really neat that you could basically play that entire collection as originally intended, which is really pretty damn
Except
neat.
Mario says bye-bye to Bowser instead of so long, Bowser. So, you know what? Fuck the whole thing. Fuck it.
So long. But, this is actually pretty cool because nobody wanted the state it was in, but Mario Kart 8 Deluxe outsells Mario Kart Wii.
Which I know how popular that game is, and it sounds like duh, but like you got to remember how popular the Wii was.
The Wii was incredibly popular. I believe Mario Kart 8 is the best-selling game for the Switch, which shouldn't really surprise people. Yeah. It is the game that people pick up with the system, essentially, and also it's a pack-in now as well. So. But it has officially outsold the game that has previously was the best-selling game in the series, which was Mario Kart Wii.
Yeah, and the Wii stomped its competition. I know people talk about but the PS3 and 360 are so much, better systems with better graphics in their games, but the Wii killed them, both of them.
You got to remember, grandmothers are still playing the Wii right now.
Yeah, non-gamers are people were using it for Wii Fit. Hospitals still use it for therapy. I think
exactly.
I think I know a new Just Dance game came out for the Switch, but are they still making Wii versions of those?
Oh yeah, no. Oh, they're not making Wii versions, but they made a Wii U version. I think the Wii U version was the last.
Okay, because stuff like that lasted a while for the Wii. I think partly because of because of what they do, what their intent is. You move around when you play those games.
Yeah, and they're still a lot of fun. Wii Bowling was just so good at doing good, what it was. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
For Wii Bowling, you know how you play that game like you would actually bowl. You move your hand back, and then you thrust it forward and release the trigger. Did you ever release the trigger early, and moved your hand backward?
No.
Oh, you never did it?
No.
You accidentally throw the ball backward, and the people behind you jump in the air it's kind of funny. I like that they took that into account. If you want to be an asshole and throw the ball backward, you can do it. And it's like a mulligan you have to redo.
That's funny. But why this is important as well is that despite the fact that Mario Kart Wii sold really well, it is held in very low regard in terms of its quality amongst the people that really like Mario Kart.
Well, not only that, but this isn't quite quality. It's borderline. But the deluxe version has all the DLC, except for I think that brand deal. Wasn't there a Mercedes or something?
I think the Mercedes is still in it.
Oh, really? Okay, never mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to beat the Mario Kart 8 as the best game in the series. It's kind of like Smash Brothers. It's you may still love this one from way back when you were 12 because it was the game you played a lot when you were 12.
Yeah, 64 or more obviously Melee.
but Smash Ultimate just has so much goddamn content in it, and it's so well made and refined that how could it not be really great? That game is way up there, so the Switch, Mario Kart, which is basically the Wii U Mario Kart with added stuff, is really, really amazing. It has a lot of the classic tracks from a lot of the earlier games. It has everything you'd ever want in it. and it's really an amazing game. So it deserves to be the better selling game, and thankfully it is, because like the Wii one, was accessible, but it didn't control as well as the other games of the series, and it had lower content than a lot of people had hoped. So like. In best games in the series, a lot of people cite the N64 one, Super Mario Kart 64,
Double Dash is fantastic,
and Double Dash, and Mario Kart 8. And a lot of people these days just say 8's the best.
And like DS was kind of slept on, but it's also a pretty good title.
Yeah, the DS one and the 3DS ones actually people really like as well. But they're stuck on a portable console,
portable thing. Yeah.
Whereas Mario Kart is one of the best like party titles out there. Like like you can take somebody who hasn't played a Mario Kart game since the N64 one and put a Switch in front of them, and in a night where everybody's having fun, and they can still play the new one. They can still play the new one.
Because Double Dash is different enough with the 2-player mechanics and everything, but like the Mario Kart 8 is kind of back to traditional form, but with crazier stuff going on.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a blast. It's a lot of fun. Moving on from that, Strictly Limited Games has revealed that they're doing a physical edition of Deathsmiles 1 and 2.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that, but as with most releases from Strictly Limited, I'm like holding back on them, just because first of all they're a European outlet, so their shipping is on the high side.
I was going to mention that's two things. Yeah, you got to pay for shipping from Germany, but also they take notoriously long times to ship their stuff out.
Yeah.
And like I get why it's like it's consistent. It's like and they have expected
they put out a
shipping
good
dates. Yeah, they let you know like here's approximately when we plan to ship your game. But if you don't know anything about them and you're like, it's a seller that has a game I want to get this game now, you are going to have a bad time.
Well, here's the thing. They very rarely have a game that a North American publisher will not have lately. So
that is true. Crosscode got the American treatment. What was the other thing?
The Darius collections.
I was going to say Ninja Savior got a Western publication. I mean, it took years for it to happen. To be fair, they had a good monopoly on that physical for a while, but still, yes.
Here's the thing about Strictly Limited is they tend to get things very early, or at least their announcements out very early. So they give you they at least will be the ones publishing it. But this is a game that I really like. But I think that Strictly that Limited Run will probably end up picking this one up because they have several other cave titles.
That's a good point. Because I was gonna say like Limited Run doesn't usually pick up Strictly Limited stuff, but yeah, if they got cave stuff though, it's a maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they Limited Run put out something about them putting out what is it? One of the Mushihime-sama games recently.
Yeah, that was recent. Yeah, Mushihime-sama.
Yeah, the original, I think. Yeah,
they're definitely. I do not remember seeing Futari, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think Futari's has something yet, but they announced that they were going to do it, but they didn't. They didn't put up the pre-order, I think, right?
Well, that's pretty traditional. They let you know way in advance. We got this property coming, and then several months later, we're actually ready. So that's standard fare.
Yeah.
They're building up hype.
Limited Run is great in a lot of regards. I really like them. Actually, the Mushihime-sama pre-order is still up. Okay, it is.
Yeah,
up.
This is one of those month-long windows. Yeah.
So I will be taking advantage of that. But they had Danganronpa and Battle Gorega. They put out quite a few cave games. So I would think that Deathsmiles would be right in their wheelhouse. So but I still think it's really cool. I think Strictly Limited puts out a really good product. I have no problem with them.
They do. I've been happy with their orders I've received.
I just tend to like the North American like branded ones, with the ESRB and all that stuff.
Yeah, for consistency. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I was
just
debating picking
my
up
collection.
a Western. Well, I guess it is Western anyway, but I was debating picking up a US Ninja Savior, but I already paid for the game though.
Yeah, exactly. I double dip enough, but still, I didn't own it physically yet, so I ended up getting it. So
yeah,
that's
great
what I ended up
great
doing.
game.
Yeah. All right, moving on from that. This is like wow. So this is a really weird company that I don't know anything about, but Ratel Laika Games is starting to put out like old shmups from like the Genesis, that like nobody would ever think would ever get a port. So they put out Glaylancer recently, which is considered one of the best shmups on the Genesis, and it never really got a like a re-release or anything like that. I think they ended up putting these out again on like they did like an aftermarket like Genesis cartridge, like you could buy like like a like how Limited Run does like SNES games or
sure
like who put out that Mega Man X re-release. Wasn't it 8-bit?
That was I Am 8-bit, yeah.
I Am 8-bit.
Yeah, they also did that for Street Fighter and for I think Aladdin, Lion King. I think they might have had SNES cards for those.
Somebody did Metal Storm too. I think it was the same company, and also Holy Diver, like out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was a different company for sure.
Yeah, but those were all official releases. They weren't like
and Holy Diver was shocking because that had never been localized. At least the other games we already had at one point.
So a little while back, they put out a bunch of shmups out on brand new Genesis cartridges, and they were official reproductions basically. But they decided to put these out on like they're kind of just like trickling out on modern services, and they play really well. So the most recent one was Gynoug.
Yeah, the name is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Gynoug, like Gynoug.
Do you know anything about this game?
No.
Lotus? Okay. I was gonna say there is a reason to know something about this game. So it is really cool and has some really neat like angelic designs and also some like kind of body horror stuff going on in it.
Okay.
But it was it also has another name. I think it's called Wings of War. Yeah, it's called Wings of War in the United States.
I've at least heard that name before.
Yeah.
But I still don't know anything about it.
It was developed by Messiah, who is the maker of what other shmup series, Lotus?
Never heard of Messiah.
Oh, but you know them well.
I might.
They made
Raptor?
No.
Because there's a weird shooter I know.
They made Choaniki.
Oh, so they're the best developers.
So
how could I possibly forget this Messiah?
This game is not a Choaniki game, but if you put it next to a Choaniki game, you'd be like, oh yeah, these games are related.
Okay.
It has a lot of... it is less funny. It's not a humorous
that's not
game.
Fair. Like, no shit is less funny.
But it has a lot of, like... just, like, a lot of, like, Greek, body form on display.
Choaniki itself had that, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just has like a lot of muscular men and a lot of like tone women in the game, and it definitely looks like it's like angels and stuff like that. It just has a house look to it, let's just say, and it is quite a fun game. And they put it out on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. Not only are they just releasing these games, but they're also doing some work to them, which is good. They are releasing them in a good state. They don't have a whole lot of like input lag, like unlike some stuff that's been coming out recently. But they've been enabling things what they call cheats. So like you can enable like infinite lives and stuff like that, to make the games easier and to make them more palatable for a more modern audience. You can turn all that stuff off. It's all optional, but this is the way to re-release a classic game, and it's just like nobody expected Gynoug to come out again. So and it's a good game, so I'm really happy about that. Speaking of games that nobody ever thought would ever be re-released on anything ever, City Connection is put out Aberimbo Tengu and Zombie Nation on Switch. Do you know what this is?
I've never heard of Aberimbo Tengu, but is Zombie Nation the one where you're just the head, just shooting shit in the city?
So Aberimbo Tengu is the Japanese version of Zombie Nation.
Yeah, I do remember seeing an announcement for this coming out, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's that game." I have no interest in it, but that's pretty novel.
So this is an exceedingly rare NES game that is very kitschy and goofy. But basically, you are a gigantic zombie head in a shmup going around destroying New York City.
Yeah, you've been decapitated and you're getting revenge somehow. I forgot, but there is some kind of weird justification to why you're a decapitated head.
But in the original version, it makes a little bit more sense. You're like one of those Tengu heads from like No Plays.
With like the long nose and everything?
Yeah, with the long nose. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So it makes more sense to have like a Japanese like decapitated head taking revenge on like New York City, but
that makes more sense.
It makes more sense, believe it or not, than just like a random zombie head wreaking havoc. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is a broken game, but it's a game where you fly around as a decapitated head, shooting everything with fireballs out of your mouth.
Liberty, yeah.
What do you want? It's a lot of fun, and you can play it now. When previously it was basically inaccessible to everybody. I have a copy of the Famicom version. I think that one is worth quite a bit of money, so I'm sitting on that. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Moving on from that, more shmup news. Jeez, there's a lot. Eschatos is one of my very favorite shmups of all time. It was originally released on the Xbox 360 as a Japanese exclusive. But it was one of those titles that was easy to import because they didn't put a block on it. Like, you could just import it and play it. So I've talked about this game quite a few times. It's made by Qute Corporation, Qute. They made Ginga Force as well as Natsuki Chronicles, which I've also talked about because those have modern releases as well. I think the company got a start making, believe it or not, aftermarket WonderSwan games, like games that like came out on the WonderSwan after like official licensing stopped. One of them was called Original Sin, or Cardinal Sin, and the other one is called Judgment Silver Sword. Which are also included with Eschatos, by the way, when you buy it. So Eschatos is really accessible. It came out during a time when every shmup that you played, which basically were all the cave ones, you fought as little magical girls. So like if you weren't into that, you unfortunately just had to put up with it because those were the only shmups coming out. So Eschatos was like the first game in a while where you were just a plane, like a fighter plane.
Yeah.
Like fighting aliens. It wasn't like it didn't have all the arrow tropes and the otome kind of stuff going on. So it's just a lot of fun. It's very beginner accessible, so I definitely recommend it. It's up there with Crimson Clover in that regard. It's just a really well made shmup that is good on the high end and like the introductory player. So I definitely recommend it. I cannot wait for it to come out on PS4 and Switch. It's a really good game, and this is like very shocking as hell.
Yes.
Thing that was awesome. I don't know whether you saw this before I put this in here.
I had heard of this, yeah.
But Arika, the makers of Tetris the Grandmaster, which is considered to be the definitive high level play version of Tetris.
Extremely high level play.
It's so high level that in order to only 3 or 4 people have actually beaten it in the world. So
yeah, this is one of those things where when you play over the credits, the pieces drop at Mach 10 and they're invisible.
They're
you
invisible,
have to just have an inherent sense of where everything is. Actually invisible pieces. It's crazy.
And you get graded on it. You get graded on that. Yeah. So this is up there with cave shmups, and to actually beat this you need to have an obscene amount of skill and dedicate yourself entirely to it. So don't worry, that is not the goal. The goal is to have fun and to consistently beat your previous high score. That's what you should be doing. But Tetris the Grandmaster had only ever been ported once, and it wasn't a direct port of any of the arcade versions. It was kind of its own thing, and it's not considered previously it wasn't considered one of the it's not considered anything that anybody wanted at the time. They put out some kind of weird Japan only Xbox 360 game that also couldn't be played because it had region restriction on it by Westerners. So it also wasn't the games from the arcade, but they are saying that they are porting this to modern the ones that people want to modern consoles. I think there are 4 of them in the arcade, and I think either 2 or 3 is used at all the tournaments. I forget which one, but they haven't specified which game they're porting, but they are, or whether it will be a collection. But it's still a big deal because previously the only way to do this to play these versions of the games is either on an emulator like MAME, or by getting your own PCB of the arcade game, and who the hell's doing that? I mean, honestly. So and it's a popular game, so good luck getting that for any reasonable amount of money. So this is really good. I mean, potentially we might be getting a tournament style Tetris game, which we really haven't gotten that. We've gotten the party fun versions of Tetris. We've gotten Puyo Puyo Tetris, which is the crossover game. And we have the Battle Royale Tetris game, Tetris 99, which Arika also made, by the way. But it's time that we had a tournament style game with really strict rules and all that stuff, so that people can actually compete on a high level and we can watch that. Moving on, I just thought this was funny. So for some reason re-released the Immortal.
They keep doing weird stuff like this. What's going to be the new NES game? What's going to be the new SNES game? This weird thing.
So I believe this is the Genesis version of the Immortal.
Weird.
But yeah.
This is that isometric, very slow and deliberate dungeon crawler where you're the old man.
Yeah, I recommend you watching the Angry Video Game Nerd on this one because it's quite an excellent episode of it, actually.
It's an excellent episode, but, it's not really... you don't get much of the game. It's more holy shit, I can't believe he did the whole review in one take.
Yeah. It was more of an exercise in, directing.
Yeah, it was more of a filmmaking marvel than it was, a comprehensive look at the Immortal.
Yeah, but
it's very good,
I still recommend it. Yeah. I mean, out of all the content made for the Immortal out there, it
that's
is notable.
The only one. That's the only thing.
But even for a guy who likes crunchy dungeon crawlers, I like crunchy dungeon crawlers. This is not the game for you. It is notable for having a lot of violent scenes in it. when you kill like some of the early bad guys, like the goblin, you just straight up cut his fucking head off, and like there's decapitation and blood.
Yeah, and considering the era this came from, like that's actually a big deal.
It was a novel thing at the time. However, the game is very slow and deliberate. It's very difficult. And it also is very repetitive. Like the way that the battle scenes work, they're not like they're actiony, but also a little bit. They're also a little bit like action and turn based at the same time. But they're repetitive, and like the sound design is awful because you constantly just hear the character go oh. It's just. It's not a good game, but it is an interesting game for sure, especially for the time. It was made by Electronic Arts back in the day, but I wouldn't recommend it. I just thought it was notable. Also, the Yokotaro game that we had talked about a little while ago, the Voiceless Cards,
the Isle Dragon Roars. I'm quite excited about this. I'm hoping for a physical release, but if not, I'll get one. I'll get it digitally.
I'm sure it'll get one, but the reviews look good. So far, so good.
Yeah, I just love everybody on the internet posting like, well, let's see how this card game makes me cry.
It will.
I'm sure it will.
From, like, especially when, like, animation and, like, visuals are limited, usually, a lot of directors and artists have been taking advantage in video games of the fact that you can do descriptions really well, like in Corpse Party.
Yeah, I mean, we have visual novels in general, like, oh, it's just pictures, but, like, visual novels can be some of the most hard-hitting emotional games of, like, any of them.
Exactly.
Like, shockingly so.
Suda51 made, that shmup game, what's that called?
Sin Mora.
Yeah, Sin Mora, and it has the heaviest themes in a shmup that I've ever seen.
And that's not the part you play. Like, you shoot bullets and you beat a bad guy, and then a cutscene happens, and you're like, okay, and like that's the part that you remember, though.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's not even what you're here for. That's the part you remember.
he got away with talking about like really serious subjects, like like abuse, and things like that, and just because. Of the limited format. I think that's the whole thing.
There are games where you could see a lot more, where you could like run around and it's a 3D experience, but because they wouldn't want to actually depict that stuff on screen, they won't. So like, ironically, they're held back by their greater amount of possibilities. Whereas with visual novels, where it's just pictures and text and voice, that can really carry the entire experience.
It's wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm sure he'll do some really neat stuff with that. Moving on, Fatal Frame 5 is out. I just wanted to say it because, goddamn.
Yeah, long last.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely pick it up on anything but the Switch. I know we tend to say that with 3D games, unless there are certain games where they put the fucking effort into making them run well.
It's ironic because this is a Wii U game on the Switch. You'd think this would be a shoo-in.
Get the PS4 or Steam version because the frame rate's bad on the Switch, unfortunately.
Also, I think the Steam version, I don't know if it had it at first, but I think it might have mouse support now.
Well, that's even better. Get the Steam version.
What's funny though is that in some ways the Wii U version is still the definitive one if you care about the map, because like with the tablet and with the Switch thing, I think you can get the gyro controls, which is a novel thing, which makes them stand out among their peers. But with the Wii U, it's not just the tablet is not just the other way to play like TV or tablet. Like it was simultaneous. So you can have the map open at all times while you just play the game on the big screen.
Well, I'm just happy that game got rescued because that was on my list of things that I never thought would happen. So it out of all of the likely like exclusives to be ported, that was low on my list, and it's here. So There are very few exclusives that are worth porting. Still tied to the Wii U. I'm very happy with the current state of things. I mean, there's only a couple that I really would like to see, and that it's basically just Xenoblade Chronicles X and a couple of Zelda ports.
Yeah.
There's Color Splash on there.
Oh, Mario. Paper Mario.
Yeah. That's
although well, I mean, that would be more on principle though, wouldn't it? Because didn't nobody like Oh wait, did nobody like Color Splash, or did nobody like Sticker Star?
People didn't like Sticker Star. Color Splash was better received. Than that game. Yeah, but I mean, there's just very few on there anymore. So happy about that. And I also wanted to mention that Dusk, which is a Quake-like boomer shooter that is horror themed, is now out on Switch. It is a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. It's like a low polygon game like Quake, but it's like horror themed. So like the first area is going through a corn field with a haunted cornfield with evil scarecrows in it, that kind of thing. And I really like that. And Limited Run Games also announced that their pre-order for the physical versions of these. I believe it sold out really quickly. It was like one of those really limited ones that they put out where they have like a little
two
window.
Waves.
Yeah, 2 waves, and some people were complaining about that. But I mean.
Oh, by the way, speaking of limited run game and they're just announcing, I mean, Dusk already happened, but announcing what's coming is they're going to be doing the Worms game. I think it's Worms Armageddon on the N64, as well as the Worms title on Game Boy Color, which is pretty wild. I didn't even know that existed.
It's really funny. Worms Armageddon is widely considered to be the best Worms game ever made.
I've seen a couple of the Worms games. I think I saw Worms World Party, but Armageddon is the best, hands down, of the ones that I've seen.
Well, World Party was the one, the predecessor, was the predecessor to Armageddon. So Armageddon's the one that came after that. Okay. So World Party is very good, but Armageddon just edges it out. I used to play Armageddon on the Dreamcast quite a bit. I have to say,
it says World Party is the sequel to Armageddon.
Oh, it is. Okay. Even people didn't consider it as good then.
Armageddon was the only one that people had heard of the title of.
Yeah. So here's the thing. As much as I think this is cool, the N64 version was not as good as the Dreamcast version or the PC version, so...
PC is really where it's at, but I think this is just interesting just because Worms is also... It's one of those weird games that you're like, oh, I didn't know that was on N64, like StarCraft. So this is one of those games that's quite expensive on N64, so if you really were just jonesing for a physical copy, then this is your chance, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, if you're looking just to play it, I would.
Yeah, if you want to play Worms, then you could do better than the 64.
Yeah, they have a tuned up version of Armageddon on Steam right now that has online play and works really, really well. They updated the hell out of that game recently. So within the last 5 years, which is pretty recent considering how old the game is. Yeah. Just buy that. I mean, I think it's something like $2.
This game predates Steam. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really, really good game. But I enjoy it. And finally, I just wanted to give a shout out. Our friend Kurt Collada was doing really well with a guide to Japanese role-playing games, his hardcover book. It sold out almost immediately, its first printing, and they recently announced a second printing, so I just wanted to give him a shout out. I'm not sure of the current state of it.
I don't know, but this time I jumped on order.
Yeah. To Japanese role-playing games. Let me see if you can still order it. Okay, so you can still order it for $48.28, that includes shipping to the United States, because this keep in mind this is a European release, so
yeah, that's why I slept on the first wave. I figured it'll go into Amazon, and even Kurt thought that at one point, but I guess it just didn't end up happening, so I jumped on the second wave.
This is quite possibly the most lavish book that he has put out,
which is saying quite a bit, considering like a lot of his books have like a consistency to them, but like this versus like his very first one, that giant fuck off like PC book thing, but this one's like all hardcover. It's got like a slipcover kind of thing if you went for that version. Like there's a bunch of swag.
I just think it's really awesome. I really like the book, like the ribbon to keep your place in it and everything.
That's always nice. So yeah,
I just like that. I just like that a lot. So anything else for the good of the order there, Lotus?
Oh man, I guess the only other thing I could say, although I know nothing about it, is that a massive update for Animal Crossing just happened.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
If you're into Animal Crossing, like this is like a big deal. I don't even know what it entails because I've never played Animal Crossing in my life, but it's like, it's not like, oh, we added new items to the store. This is apparently like a big like system update kind of thing.
Yeah. I should have mentioned that along with the expansion plus news, but because that's part of the content that you get with it.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely worth it if you are an Animal Crossing fan. It adds a ton of content to it. Like basically reinvents like the goals of the game. I mean, originally when you play Animal Crossing, you might not think about this, but you know, like there are goals to Animal Crossing. You don't really beat it because you know it's you just designing your town, but there are thresholds that you need to hit so you can get access to more content. So that would be considered beating it. You know, you have to get to those thresholds in order to unlock all that stuff. But they added that. We had talked about this before. They had added the vacation home stuff, which is a big deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You can create your own vacation home, but as well as you have goals to hit to create vacation homes for your other residents, which is really a lot of fun. And there's just so much more stuff added to the game. There's also the cafe. There's just tons of stuff to do. So definitely take advantage of that. It's supposed to be the very last like big update, but we'll see. I mean, Animal Crossing is like one of those games where you know it's more of a service than anything. So they might just add stuff to it as time goes on, because Nintendo tends to only make one Animal Crossing per generation. So it would be a very long time until we see a sequel of any kind. So I would think that they would just occasionally just add stuff to that game. But it's cool. It's cool. I think you could pick it up for $15 or $20, a la carte or a la carte, or as part of the expansion pass. So really happy to see that. Well, anything else for the good of the order?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
You really put me on the spot there. I did not appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey, idiot. What about this piece of news?
Well, you know how Square-Enix threw their own team under the bus? Well,
now that I realize
it,
partnering with Vice might have been a bad choice there. Oh geez, we're still on the call. Oh god, he heard that. Oh
no. I'm so sad. That is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and Soundcloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. Also, thank you for sticking with us during our slight hiatus. Only a week. The only time we've ever really not had new content for the week. So you can also catch us for Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture, and we will start on the Joel Schumacher Batman movies. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, Twitter, whatever, everything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, I have just started Armored Core Master of Arena on PS1. Selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Twitter. Or, well, I already mentioned Twitter, didn't I? On Discord. Ooh, fancy. Then please consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
All right. Well, we will catch everybody on Thursday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.